She cheated for over 4 years because she was bored, then ghosted me and the kids when her affair partner died, but I refused to let her escape the truth. I'm in a difficult situation and seeking insight. My wife, a 39-year-old female, and I, a 40-year-old male, have been married for 17 years. We're high school sweethearts and have been together for about 23 years. I don't have much information, but here's what I know. 3 days ago, my wife came home from work, and on the 4th day, she had to work. She appeared frantic, emotionally packed an overnight bag hastily, and left. Our oldest daughter was home at the time and witnessed it. I tried talking to her, but she was crying, distraught, and couldn't speak. She seemed on the verge of a panic attack. She hasn't responded to our texts or calls. I contacted her parents immediately, and they eventually replied, informing me that my wife is safe with them and asking for patience and understanding. That's all I heard from them. I reached out to her sister, brother, and one of her close work friends. Her brother claimed to know nothing, and her work friend said she was at work in the morning but had left by lunch 3 days ago. That's all she knew. It's been 3 days with no contact from my wife, not even with the kids. No one is providing any information. I'm here with my 3 daughters, trying to manage without her. The kids keep asking me what's happening, questioning what happened with their mom. All I can say is that she's at her grandparents' place, and we need to be patient and understanding. I have a strong urge to quickly pack up the kids and drive to her parents' house without notice. It's only a 3-hour drive, and waiting in limbo is agonizing. The kids believe we had a major fight and are getting a divorce, but that's far from the truth. We rarely argue, and the kids are aware of this. I'm uncertain about what's happening, but I'm looking for some logical perspective because my current emotional state has me going in circles while trying to manage everything without her. If something unfortunate occurred, wouldn't a spouse's family be the first to know? Maybe some past trauma resurfaced, but if it were me, I'd turn to my wife for support. We're completely in the dark and nothing makes sense. I don't know what to do and I'm stuck here with my daughters. We're all clueless and no one is sharing any information. I'm feeling worried, scared, angry, and a mix of emotions. Why would someone ghost their family like this? If it was an affair, it was a long night last night and I didn't sleep. My father-in-law didn't call me last night, so I eventually contacted the police, as many of you suggested. This caused a lot of issues that I won't go into, but my wife has been having an affair for at least 2 years, probably longer. Everyone was right. The other man had a heart attack on Tuesday and passed away that night, for sure. My mother-in-law, and it seems like my sister-in-law, knew about it and covered for her. My wife still hasn't contacted me or the kids. I'm trying to keep this from them for now. Honestly, I have no idea what to do from here. That's all I know. This is almost the end for me. I'm not sure how to move on from this news, but that's it. If you pray, please pray for me and us. Can anyone come up with something reasonable? Why would you ghost your family like this? It's been just over a week since my D-Day, and since that day, I've learned my wife's affair lasted over 4 years. I don't have an exact timeline yet, but it likely started emotionally and then became physical. I'm curious how the pandemic and lockdowns played into this. Too many questions remain unanswered. Anyway, my in-laws paid an unplanned visit to see their grandchildren yesterday. My wife, who has been staying at their house since this ordeal began, didn't spend much time with the girls, just about 15 minutes. Afterward, they asked to speak with me privately. It was a lengthy conversation, as you'd expect, and I won't go into all the details. In short, my wife wants to return home but is afraid of the consequences of her actions. Her parents probed to find out if I intended to divorce and tried to persuade me to forgive my wife and rebuild our marriage. They seemed ashamed and embarrassed but also wanted my wife out of their house. The exchange was civil and respectful. I admit that I told them I wasn't sure about my future plans, although I fully intend to divorce. I believe that revealing my plans now would hinder me from getting the truth from my wife. I want her to face me and explain everything, if possible. We've been together for 17 years with 3 kids and countless memories. I want her to be honest and set an example for our children. I'm unsure if my approach is right. Legally, I cannot prevent my wife from coming home. The lawyer made this clear. So, if she decides to come home, I can't stop her, even though I don't want it right now. My daughters and I have established a routine, so I made a challenging request. I told her she could return home when she sat down with me in person, answered all my questions about her affair, and spoke with the girls, apologizing to them and answering their questions as well. This seemed fair, since they already know. She doesn't have to comply with these demands legally, but I'm considering if her fear of facing us could work to our advantage. I don't want to be sneaky or manipulative. I prefer not to start cohabitating yet, if possible. There's a mandatory 90-day waiting period for divorce in our state. Her return home is inevitable, and we'll both have to go back to work eventually. Life will move on despite this mess. I'd like to delay it to plan and improve my mental and emotional well-being. My wife has been texting our girls, apologizing and expressing that she doesn't want a divorce. They've shared the texts with me and inquire about me daily. The reality of her actions is affecting her, especially in the last couple of days. How should I handle this? Was my request unreasonable? It seems that my wife will return home soon, and I want to make the best decision for my daughters and myself as we move forward. I'm not rattled by this. I knew it would happen eventually, and I'm confident in my current path. It was a tough weekend, but my wife returned home yesterday with some build-up during the week. Unlike previous times when she'd enter the house and we'd hug and kiss, it was incredibly awkward this time. She initiated a hug, but I turned away as if nothing had happened. After she settled in, I naturally asked her to tell me everything, but she said she wasn't ready. We had spoken on the phone earlier in the week with the same result. I insisted that her return depended on her explaining her absence for nearly 3 weeks, but she repeated that she wasn't ready. I tried to maintain my composure and not scream at her, but I couldn't. I told her about her affair, which had lasted over 4 years with a coworker, her plans to leave me for him, and how she had ghosted her family. I also expressed my desire for a divorce. Her reaction was unexpected. She seemed surprised by how much I knew about the affair, and just stood there in silence, wide-eyed, staring at the floor. We stood in the kitchen for 5 minutes without speaking, and it was an incredibly strange and tense moment. She didn't know how to respond, and neither did I.
I read all your comments and advice regarding my situation.
I even took notes and mentally prepared myself for every possible outcome of this confrontation, except the one that happened. So right then and there, I decided to map out everything I knew about her affair. Maybe it wasn't the best idea, but I proceeded to tell her everything I knew, even my assumptions about certain things, like how she met her affair partner, her sister's involvement, what happened during COVID, and so forth. She kept staring at the floor throughout. I grew angrier as I went along because she didn't respond, but I tried to keep my voice down and remain composed. Then there was another long, awkward silence. My anger turned into sadness as I realized everything. I softly asked her what I did to drive her away, whether she ever loved me, and if her affair partner was worth it. She didn't say anything, didn't move, just stood there with her head down. No tears, no apology, no yelling, no explanation, just silence. This hurt more than D-Day did. I just stood there, unsure if I could move, but things got worse. Our daughters overheard the whole encounter. I was incredibly stupid and didn't consider their whereabouts once I confronted my wife. Our oldest daughter came downstairs and lashed out. There was a lot of pent-up anger on her part. My wife quickly went upstairs and locked the bedroom door. That's where we are now. I heard my wife crying most of the night until I fell asleep. Only our youngest tried talking to her. The rest of us have avoided her. If I can muster the courage, I'm thinking of suggesting she stay with her sister until we finalize the divorce, but this is still her home. Cohabitating with her will be miserable for all of us. I was wrong about my wife, and you were all right. I was wrong about our years together, our memories and the life-changing moments. I was convinced she would apologize and confess to everything from the last 4 years to relieve her guilt, but we're not worth it to her. Maybe we never were. What now? Today was uncomfortable at home. We tried to carry on like the past 2 weeks, but it's impossible. I just want to fast forward through all of this, past the divorce, past the awkward conversations, past the inevitable arguments, and past the drama of cohabitating with a wayward spouse. How did you manage that, especially with kids? I know this is just the beginning. I keep reading posts that promise it gets better, but I'm far from that point. There's not a moment when I don't want to scream or sob. Right now, I'm trying my hardest to keep a stable mind for the girls, but I don't know if I can do it for 3 more months. School will start before this is all over. I guess this is my life now. Thank you for caring so much. I don't know if the worst is behind or ahead of us, but I appreciate any advice to get through the next phase. I'm in a bad place and have been since my wayward wife came home after I found out about her affair. I've been pretending for my daughters, trying to say and think the right things, but tonight, I have to admit the truth. As many of you say, the emotions come in waves, but tonight, it hit me hard, and I lost my composure a bit. The divorce is filed, but my wayward wife hasn't hired a lawyer yet. I've been patient and delicate, hoping for an uncontested divorce that we mainly handle ourselves, but after tonight, I'm not so sure. We've been cohabitating during the week, and my wife goes to her sister's house on Fridays and returns on Sundays, since her work is close, but her sister's an hour away. For the past couple of weeks, we followed this routine with mostly avoidance. I've been trying to put my daughters first and meet their needs, but I got emotional tonight and didn't consider their whereabouts when confronting my wife. So our oldest daughter came downstairs and lashed out, and my wife quickly went upstairs and locked the bedroom door. That's where we are now. I heard my wife crying most of the night. Only our youngest tried talking to her, and the rest of us avoided her. It's for the best, right? Lately, I've heeded much of your advice, and I've worked hard to maintain self-discipline around my wife, even when it's tough. I've been short and indifferent when we briefly talk, but always polite and respectful. Until tonight. The last couple of Fridays, she left for her sister's before I got home from work, but tonight she was waiting in the kitchen. I tried to walk past, but she stopped me and asked if this is how I'm going to treat her just because she's not ready to talk about her affair. This is the first time she's mentioned it in almost a month. I tried to keep quiet and walk away, but our daughters weren't home, and I lost control. I unleashed all my frustrations, pain, anger, and misery on her. I went on for a long time, raising my voice and getting emotional. I told her everything that's been tormenting me, everything I'd been holding back. I was so mad at myself afterward. I've been doing well, but she got to me. I knew it would happen. I knew it. It's been building for a while, and there's only so much I can vent. For the first time, my wayward wife actually broke down and started sobbing uncontrollably. Regrettably, this made me happy, seeing her hurt as I was. I wished I didn't care, but there was some satisfaction in finally seeing her break down. It seemed like there was someone in there with a bit of compassion. Surprisingly, she mumbled apologies repeatedly during my outburst. She was ugly crying, and all she said was, "I'm so sorry." But in the end, I left the kitchen before she could gather herself enough to say anything more. I asked her to leave me alone. So, that happened. She hung around the kitchen for a while before leaving for her sister's house again. The girls got home about half an hour later and could tell something had happened, but I wasn't ready to discuss it. I don't think they need to know about this, do they? The two youngest are doing better, and I don't want to disrupt their progress. Telling my oldest would only add more fuel to her fire, which I don't want. I hate this so much. I should have kept it together and just ignored my wayward wife or walked past her. Now, thinking back, it feels like she was trying to start a conversation about her affair but didn't know how to, and it obviously didn't go well because I exploded. I've started to worry about her, though. I know some of you may criticize me for this, but I don't want her to come to harm. She's been isolated and alone with her thoughts, with nearly everyone turning their back on her. You can say she deserves it, and that's true, but she's still a human being, and the mother of my kids. This is a setback for me, and I'm really disappointed in myself. Sorry for the long rant. I also talked to my brother and ranted to him. I'll try to start fresh on Monday. I'm only human. It felt good to vent on her, but now I'm feeling regret. Should I text my wife or leave it be? I'm a mess, but thanks for listening and offering the support I need to get through all of this. Thank you for all the advice. In the midst of the chaos, we've all started therapy, so that's something, but this is incredibly hard. Just so hard. I appreciate those of you who reached out to me, and I'm aware that most of you were right. Things aren't great, and I haven't had the chance to get online at all. I thought about taking a break from the internet, but this week has been a step backward. It's just been awful. My wife hasn't left me alone all week, being overly nice and continually apologizing for her affair, sobbing and trying to talk to me. I've ignored her at times, but talked when I was in the mood. I finally snapped at her on Wednesday night, telling her to leave me alone. Then, last night, it happened. Just over a month since my soon-to-be ex-wife returned home after her affair came to light, as things have become this uncomfortable cohabitating routine. She came into my room after the girls went to bed and asked to talk with me in private. Differently than how she'd been approaching me all week, I resisted at first. But eventually, we went to the garage and sat in my car to avoid having the conversation in front of the kids again. It involved lengthy apologies, and she told me everything, according to her. We were out there for almost 3 hours. I'm not sure how much I should share. I was awake all night, listened to her sob for hours and couldn't sleep. I cried too, got super angry at times, had to resist the urge to confront her, and it was a cycle of crying and anger. Forgive me if I take a day or so to respond to anyone, but I needed to get this off my chest before trying to sleep. It hasn't helped having my wayward wife constantly apologizing and begging for another chance all evening tonight, too. I had to leave for a few hours just to get away from her. It's just so painful to be around her. Anyway, she was introduced to her affair partner by her sister about 5 years ago, with no romantic intentions initially. He was a higher-up at a company she wanted to work for, and he gave her an in. So, her desire to change jobs was not based on her affair, but once she did change jobs, obviously she had extra incentive. Once she got the job, the affair partner began flirting with her, starting with texting, then pictures, and more texting, leading to physical involvement just before COVID. She confessed to her sister and wanted to come clean to me then, but decided to bury it. My wife said she went no contact with her affair partner soon after, but he reached out to her as lockdowns were lifted, and she resumed talking to him until the physical affair resumed once businesses reopened. She claims to have ended the affair a couple of times out of guilt, but kept going back to him, so it never really ended. She included many details and had a 5-page handwritten timeline of her affair, which she read to me, answering questions along the way. She lied about many things, like weekend trips with the girls, work-related travel, traffic jams, and other excuses, just as I suspected. The list of lies was extensive, and there were so many that I never questioned her. It's heartbreaking to hear all this, and even though her affection didn't wane during her affair, I feel worse now. Closeness did change, but not enough to raise red flags. She admitted to falling in love with her affair partner and wanting a life with him, as he promised her expensive things, vacations, and more. She started fantasizing about escaping her family responsibilities, and the thrill of being with him was too much to resist. She talked about how bored she had become with the routine of family life, and she was incredibly candid and emotional. I lost control of my emotions and started crying halfway through. It was painful to hear everything, as one would expect. After she finished her confession, she expressed her love for me and her willingness to do anything to salvage the marriage. Many of you anticipated this, but it all felt insincere to me, like it was rehearsed. I've been with this woman for more than half of my life, and I can tell when she's not being genuine. Maybe I'm mistaken, but it doesn't really matter. I managed to regain my composure better than last week, though I still got angry and said a few unkind things. I even mentioned that her affair partner was involved with multiple women and that she was just one of many he was willing to discard. That really upset her. A million thoughts crossed my mind about this moment when she would finally confess, all the clever comebacks I might throw at her or things I could say to hurt her back. There were hundreds of responses that I couldn't think of in the emotional moment the other night. One thing I knew I would ask was whether her affair partner was still alive, and, if she had to choose between him and me, who would she pick? She hesitated and then said, "That's not fair." I insisted on an answer, and eventually, she said she would choose me, of course. My response was that her hesitation was why I was divorcing her because she was lying again. She started sobbing, and that was the last thing she said. We sat in the car for a while with her continuing to sob, but I was tired, so I told her that we're getting a divorce, and we owe it to our daughters to get along in a civil way, be great parents and be present in their lives. I also added that, after all the pain she'd put me through, I hoped she was decent enough to divorce amicably. That would be proof that she genuinely loved me. The last thing I told her was borrowed from somewhere else online. Please understand that I'm not a vindictive person, and I didn't want to hurt her deliberately. It just seemed like a fitting way to end it. But I meant every word I said. I leaned over, kissed her on the forehead, and said that I would have loved her forever. Then, I got out of the car and went to bed. That was the end of it. Of course, I didn't sleep last night, and here I am, unable to sleep once again tonight. I'm not sure what happens now. Her chance to contest the divorce has passed, so I guess that's one positive thing, but I haven't spoken to my lawyer yet. I'm finding myself in tears again and cycling back into those phases of depression and anger. Hearing everything last night was very difficult, and to be honest, I could have done without it all. Now that I know she could have lied or made it all up, who knows? But it seemed to align with everything I had pieced together over the past month, so that's where things stand for now. It feels like this is never ending. I have a few good days, start feeling strong, and then something else happens. It seems like it's been months, yet only days at the same time, but I'm going to try to get some sleep. Just imagine the love of your life, the only woman you've ever loved or kissed, telling you she cheated on you for over 4 years because she was bored. There was no falling out of love, growing apart, relationship issues, or a dead bedroom, just boredom. I don't know if that makes it worse or better. Thanks for listening and offering your help along the way. It's been a tough couple of nights, really tough. Hey guys, I'm really starting to have doubts about the relationship between my girlfriend and my best friend. Their closeness when we're together has raised some concerns, and now I'm not comfortable with them being around each other. My best friend, who's been in my life for about 10 years, recently got out of a toxic relationship. I've been with my girlfriend for the past 6 months, supporting and talking to him as he moves on. I even once left my house in the middle of the night to check on him, thinking he might do bad things to himself. He's doing better now, but he still has a long way to go. I'm feeling uneasy because my girlfriend has started texting him more frequently. We used to have an open phone policy, but I stopped checking her phone over the years due to my trust in her. However, now she's always on it and seems more secretive. I haven't asked to see her phone yet as I don't want to tip her off, but I'm considering it. The last time we all hung out was at a Halloween costume party. It was just 5 of us, my girlfriend and me, my best friend, and 2 other friends. We all drank a lot and played video games until late. We decided to send someone to get food, and my girlfriend, The only sober one drove. I stayed behind for a game, so I asked my best friend to go with her. They didn't return until 5:45 in the morning, despite leaving at 1 o'clock in the morning. I got worried and called them with no response. After a while, I started drinking to cope. When my girlfriend got home, I confronted her about where they had been. She said my best friend was upset about his ex, so she stopped to talk to him until he felt better. It felt suspicious, but I had no evidence to accuse her. I had to let it go, but I'm still suspicious and anxious. We're having another party with the same people for my birthday after Christmas. I'm nervous about my girlfriend and best friend being close, but I don't want to create a scene. We've been together for 5 years and I really want our relationship to work, so I'm unsure about what to do. I'm starting to fear the worst. Update, I checked her phone. Thank you for the advice and support I've received so far. Many people commented and messaged me with their thoughts, and I want to express my gratitude once again. So, on Saturday night, when she fell asleep, I looked through her messages with my best friend. My heart was racing. I didn't find any convincing evidence of her cheating on me, but I noticed they text almost daily with many "what's up" and "how are you" messages from my girlfriend. While not conclusive, this confirms my feeling that they are very close. I'm not comfortable with this, especially since she's not being forthcoming and providing reassurance. I also found that she vented to my best friend about a recent minor argument we had, which is unusual for her, as she's usually secretive about our personal life. He didn't badmouth me, but it's a significant red flag given the context. I also checked for other messaging apps like WhatsApp and Snapchat, but didn't find anything suspicious. I should mention that my partner is tech-savvy, so hiding evidence from me might not be difficult. I can't access her work phone, as I don't know the passcode, and I feel paranoid. Everything seemed great between us, but now it feels like a nightmare. Am I wrong for being suspicious? Is she genuinely trying to be a good friend? Am I overreacting? I want our relationship to work, but I'm struggling to calm my mind. What's my plan? I don't want to tip them off by asking them directly. I'm concerned they'll become more secretive. It bothers me, but I want the truth, and I'm willing to wait to be sure. I think my best course of action is to continue observing their behavior at the upcoming party. I'll stay relatively sober, as some of you suggested. Trusting my gut feels valid. Just because everything seems fine on the surface doesn't mean there's no emotional relationship between them. Just because he's my best friend doesn't mean my girlfriend should reach out to him and vent about our arguments. Lately, I've been going out more to keep my mind occupied. I've been hitting the gym and occasionally meeting coworkers for pickup sports. It's been great for my mental and physical health. The day before Christmas Eve, I decided to change my routine and come home a few hours earlier than usual after my gym session. When I entered the house, I found my girlfriend cooking in the kitchen with a recipe on her phone left unattended on the counter. I greeted her, and as I walked past her phone to grab a cup from the cupboard, a text message from my best friend lit up on her phone. Without her realizing, I picked up the phone, unlocked it, and saw what I had suspected. They were both sending explicit photos to each other, or at least that's what I saw, which led me to confront her immediately. I asked her, "What the heck is going on?" She looked at me, and I could tell she understood my question. She quickly went into damage control mode, trying to convince me it was a foolish mistake, and that she got carried away because of the attention. This was my best friend. I inquired about how long this had been happening, and she replied, "Recently, about a month or so, but maybe longer." She tearfully apologized repeatedly. I pressed her for details about what had occurred on the night of the Halloween party, as I no longer trusted her words. She admitted that something did happen that night. With tears streaming down her face and a look of nausea, after a lengthy pause, she confessed that he had asked for a closeness favor. Initially, she said no, but eventually gave in. She kept insisting it didn't mean anything, and she did it to make him feel better. I was furious and asked her why they didn't just go all the way if it didn't mean anything. She claimed she would never do that and begged me to believe her. It was hard to trust her after she had admitted to cheating on me. I yelled at her that I didn't believe her and declared that I was ending the relationship. She sobbed uncontrollably and clung to my arm, which I pulled away from before instructing her to leave my place. It was a struggle to get her out the door, but she eventually left. I've been bombarded with texts and phone calls from her pleading for a second chance. Despite the advice I received, it's incredibly difficult to prepare for a betrayal like this, especially from a partner you deeply care about. Not to mention, I didn't mention it earlier, but my best friend is also my cousin. He's your best friend, too. I still love her, but I can't forgive such a massive betrayal. All I can think about is that 5 years have gone to waste, and I feel helpless and broken. To make matters worse, this all happened right before Christmas Eve, which is when we usually celebrate with her family. I decided to stay home and play video games all day. I appreciate the support and advice I've received, as it has been very helpful. Now, I'm focused on picking up the pieces. This is the worst-case scenario, but I believe I'm strong enough to overcome it. I wouldn't put too much stock in her story about the closeness favor. I mean, does it really only take a guy to ask for one, and she agrees right away? It wouldn't have taken 5 hours plus. That was Halloween. What have they been up to for the last 2 months? And do you really think that was the first time? Well, I guess it really doesn't matter now that it's over. The betrayal by my girlfriend and cousin cut deeper than I could have imagined, shattering 5 years of trust and a decade of friendship in one gut-wrenching moment. At 25, I'm left picking up fragments of a life I thought was secure, but the pain, though raw, is fueling a resolve to rebuild stronger. My Tampa apartment, once filled with her laughter, feels empty, but it's also a blank canvas for a new start. I'm done chasing answers about that Halloween night or the months of lies. Knowing more won't undo the hurt. Instead, I'm focusing on what I can control, my healing, my future, and the lessons this heartbreak taught me. The days after kicking her out were a blur of anger and grief. Christmas Eve, usually spent with her family's boisterous dinner, was just me, pizza, and video games. I muted her calls and texts, each one a plea for forgiveness that felt hollow after her confession. It didn't mean anything she'd said, but the image of her with my cousin, my best friend, burned in my mind. I blocked her number, needing space to breathe. My cousin's silence was louder. He didn't even try to explain. And I'm glad. Words wouldn't erase the betrayal. I cut him off too, unfriending him on every platform. A small act of reclaiming my dignity. My friends, Jake and Mia from the Halloween party crew, stepped up. Jake invited me for beers, listening as I vented without judgment. Mia, who'd sensed my girlfriend's secrecy, brought over coffee and her blunt wisdom, "You're better off without them." Their support, plus messages from online forums where I'd shared my story, reminded me I wasn't alone. I started therapy recommended by Mia's sister, a counselor named Dr. Lopez. Our weekly sessions unpack my trust issues and the insecurity my cousin's perfect life always sparked. Betrayal exposes weaknesses, but it also reveals your strength, Dr. Lopez said. And I'm beginning to see it. I'm not the naive guy who ignored red flags. I'm the one who trusted his gut and acted. The gym became my refuge. Morning workouts, lifting weights, sprinting on the treadmill, channel my anger into focus. I've dropped 10 pounds, my frame leaner, my confidence creeping back. Pickup basketball with coworkers fills my evenings, their trash-talking banter a distraction from the quiet nights. I've started cooking too, experimenting with recipes beyond ramen. My first attempt at chicken curry was edible, a small win that made me laugh for the first time in weeks. These routines, therapy, exercise, cooking, aren't just coping mechanisms, they're building blocks for a life that's mine, not tied to her or my cousin. I'm reevaluating my social circle. The Halloween party showed how blurred boundaries led to disaster. I'm setting firmer ones, like keeping personal drama off group hangs and trusting my instincts about close friendships. I've reconnected with old high school buddies, guys who knew me before my cousin's shadow loomed. We caught a lightning game, the crowd's roar drowning out my doubts. I'm also exploring new hobbies. Photography, inspired by Tampa's vibrant street art. Snapping shots of murals and sunsets feels like capturing moments I can control, a stark contrast to the chaos of betrayal. Work at the tech startup is steady. My coding projects a mental escape. My boss noticed my focus and assigned me a lead role on a new app, a challenge I'm tackling with grit. The extra responsibility, plus a small raise, bolsters my savings. I'm eyeing a move to a smaller place. My current apartment, leased with her, holds too many ghosts. A studio near Ybor City, with its lively cafes and music, feels right for a fresh chapter. Financially, I'm secure enough to plan a solo trip, maybe to Austin for a music festival, something I'd never done with her. My family's reaction was mixed. Mom, always soft on my cousin, urged me to talk it out, but Dad backed me, saying, "You don't owe them anything." Their tension mirrors my own, love for family clashing with the need for boundaries. I've distanced myself from cousin-centric gatherings, skipping a recent family barbecue. It stung, but protecting my peace matters more. I'm closer to my younger sister now, who checks in with memes and late-night calls. Her humor, untainted by the drama, keeps me grounded. The betrayal taught me to trust my instincts. Her secrecy, the late-night texts, the Halloween delay. My gut screamed something was wrong, but love blinded me. Never again. I'm not rushing into dating. The thought of vulnerability feels raw. But I'm open to meeting people organically, like the barista at my new coffee haunt who shares my love for indie bands. No sparks yet, just friendly chats, and that's enough. I'm learning to enjoy my own company, a strength I didn't know I had. The pain ebbs and flows. Some nights I replay her confession, the image of them together twisting my gut. But those moments are fewer, overtaken by pride in my progress. I'm not defined by her lies or his betrayal. I'm the guy coding a killer app, shooting hoops with friends, and framing a sunset photo for my new place. The future's uncertain, but it's mine to shape. I'll carry the scars, but they're proof I survived. With therapy, friends, and a growing sense of self, I'm ready for whatever comes next. Stronger than I ever was with her.